on a manifesto, which is based off of 8 demands as well as calls to action um, that allow that bring a newer point of view from each international student about the different climate change and effects that they go through in their country and personally. I'll pass it on to Oliver.
Hi, my name is Oliver. I'm a grade 12 student from Canada. I'd say the youth voice really matters, especially here at COP, because we are very underrepresented. We're considered children here, according to the UN, so we're under 18. And we're pretty much the only group that are under 18. We've been walking around the green zone, and we're in our green shirts pretty much every day, and there hasn't been anyone else around our age. And maybe that's in part because of Greta Thunberg's announcement that she wasn't coming because of the greenwashing taking place. But it's difficult to be here because our voice needs to be heard. I know, for me anyway, coming as a white male, it is a privilege for me to be here. My voice isn't as important, but we still need to be heard, and our voices aren't being represented. And it's honestly showing that us as children, we don't have faith in the politicians anymore. If we're not coming to these conversations that are affecting us in the next 5, 10 years, that's saying that we no longer have faith that our politicians are going to do the right thing. So what we need to see for them is action taking place. They need to start making progress and showing us that they're on the right track. And so I'm here to hopefully see that through, and we will see that through, and that's why I'm part of Decarbonize.
That's so great. Thank you. You're so great. You're so amazing. I can tell that. So, what made you want to get involved in the program?
So hi, I'm Vince from the Philippines. Coming from the Philippines, we're always hit with these strong storms that causes major flooding in the islands of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. These storms, these floods, cause so much destruction and devastation to my country. And with that, you can see that climate change has a bad effect, especially to my country. Just recently, we were hit by Typhoon Paeng, and it caused more than 150 people to die, and 100,000 had to evacuate from their homes. Now they don't have any home to come back to. And I don't want to be someone who's just going to watch my fellow men fall to these climate effects that we caused, yes, but are not in our control. So I want to be a part of that solution, and I think that being part of the Carbonize is part of being that solution. The Carbonize is formed by students from all over the world. So it's not just about hearing our voices, it's also about empowering children from all over the places that we are from.
That's so great. So, speaking of which, so what actions decision makers can take in your countries to address these climate concerns you have?
I can answer. In connection to my answer from the second question, in the Philippines, we expect that there would be these catastrophes that would hit us. So we already have a fund that's allocated for those things, but it doesn't reflect on on what are the people getting when they're hit by these typhoons. To give you context, whenever people have to evacuate, they don't go to shelters that are established or anything like that. They go to basketball courts. They don't even have air condition there. They don't have a proper place to sleep, or they go to public school rooms. There's no aircon there too. There's barely an electric fan, so they don't have anything to have for comfort, and the government doesn't even give anything to them for sleeping or anything. They just come with what they have, and frankly, they don't have anything because they evacuated their homes. They don't even get food. The best they could get is water and a few pieces of canned goods. And that's not enough because they have to stay in those shelters for how long they can because they don't have anywhere to go to anymore. So
Yes, and I also think that it is not enough for us to just ask for the government to hear from us. They also need to provide us enough sources for us to be able to come up with solutions, you know. And I believe that this could be solved through education. In Brazil, we have a huge gap in the educational system. So there are lots of young people who have no idea of what climate change means. And this is why I believe that the combination of young people who have awareness and knowledge with a government that wants to hear from them would take us to a more successful future.
Definitely.
I might add one more thing there.
Okay, if you may.
Sure. So in Canada, I live in Nova Scotia, the east coast, and we're completely surrounded by water. And what I see is when the tide comes up and down every 12 hours, there's always new garbage on the beach. And we have a plan in Canada to ban single-use plastics by 2030. But what about the stuff that's washing ashore twice a day? And so the decisions that those government officials can make is that they can start investing in ocean cleanup technologies and removing the stuff that's there. Their plan and the money that they've put towards climate change is to give some grants to the local organizations, but they need to start hiring people and picking up the garbage. It is a huge problem that's not getting any better, and we need to be able to see those decisions taking place. Like, we don't want to read an 80-page report about the plans and the actions going on. We want to see what you're doing, when it's getting done, and how it's contributing to this.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not adding anything because they've said everything, but I do believe that we should stop saying and start doing and actually taking action into what we're saying.
Okay, definitely. So, shifting a little bit, how has your expectations of COP compared to your actually being here in person?
Well, I feel like some of my experience here met my expectations, but not all of them. Because, first of all, I had a fear that we, as the children, wouldn't have our voices heard after all of the work and the effort we put into it. And because we know that at the end of the day, the ones who will make the large-scale changes will be the ones who hold the power in their hands. But being here at COP and being able to talk directly to the decision makers and receiving a positive feedback from them while sharing our decarbonized message really gave me the confidence that I lacked. And also yesterday, I watched the Amazon's rainforest panel here, and it really got me deep in my emotions and I just started crying while listening to the woman exposing the environmental issues we face in Brazil in the Amazon rainforest, such as wildfires, deforestation, mining activity, traffic, and after that, a professor talking about Brazilian history that includes slavery and colonialism, and later the indigenous woman giving her speech in Portuguese. So all of this made me feel represented, and even though I know in Brazil we still have a long path to go through to reach our successful, sustainable future, it really made me proud of my country. But on the other hand, I also had some frustrations because I believe that there's a lack of accounting and numbers to be shown to us, to the young people. Like, how much money will they spend? Where will they get this money from? Where is this money going? And how long will it take? So, yeah. This is why I believe that we, as the young people, have this role to develop here. And yeah, this was a frustration of mine as well, that I expect that in the next COP will be solved. Because it feels like sometimes the solutions are all part of an imaginative scenario that we don't have access to. So yeah, it just feels like we are far from the solution and not close to it as we wished we would be.
So true. Fair enough.
I might even touch on that my expectations were that we would be meeting with negotiators and seeing those different conferences taking place. We do have people in our group that are part of the blue zone, so they get to participate in those types of presentations and conversations. In the green zone, well, it's kind of showing what it's going on in the world. More so in Egypt, the different conferences and different environmental organizations that are here. But I've been thinking a lot about Kobe Bryant's quote when he was in the NBA Finals and it was Game 6, and they had just won. And the reporter asked him, "Why aren't you happier?" He had a very monotone-looking face. And he said, "Job finished? I don't think so." And so we're promoting all these sustainable practices and water and electric vehicles, but why are we celebrating? Like, wouldn't the conversations happen faster if we were facing the real impacts here today in Egypt? It is extremely hot and we need air conditioning. But if we're trying to glorify what's happening, then it's going to take even longer. We need to see and feel the impacts so that we're able to be motivated to go even quicker. The job's not finished. And once we have reached that goal of 1.5 degrees, then we're able to celebrate the accomplishments that we've made along the way.
Well said. And well, so again, like because of what you are saying, so what personal actions can you and even the audience looking at you take to engage in the climate fight? So what would you say?
Personally, I believe that setting a goal for yourself yearly, just as if you're setting a New Year's resolution, like it could start as small as possible. Like you could start by limiting your water usage, your limiting your transportation, turning off the light when you don't need it, and so on. That really helps a lot. Even though it's that small of a change, it will lead to bigger changes in the future. So setting personal goals for yourself to achieve yearly, that will change the environment in a way.
Yeah. And just to add something, first of all, I'm a vegetarian, so I'll definitely keep not eating meat when I return to Brazil. And also, yesterday we went to COP, and in the green zone, I saw an exposition from the World Art Forum, which has had to do with fashion, and it really got me thinking about where do I get my clothes from? What natural resources were used to produce them? How much do the workers make to produce these clothes? And what are their working conditions? So, and also, I'll definitely acquire more second-handed clothes after this.
That's a good one.
Personally, I believe that being here is great, but it's not the end for us. It's what we bring from here that matters. In the Philippines, in my school, we have this project called Laudato Si Garden, and in this garden, we are demanded to plant our own crops, plant our own food, so that we can eventually sell it. And for me, that's some way of an immersion because we get to know how hard it is to actually have produce, how hard it is for the farmers to make these products. And that way, I think for me, it has affected me that now I know I should not waste my food because I just know how hard it is to have it on the table. And not everyone has food, especially in the Philippines, where agriculture is a big issue, and agriculture is also very affected by the calamities that we face brought by climate change.
My point here kind of touches on what Sophia said and how not everyone knows what climate change is. And that is very true. Most of the people in my school, maybe they've heard the term climate change, global warming, maybe not so much the 1.5 degrees Celsius. And it's really hard to know about it if you either don't know or you don't care. And that's the truth that's happening right now. So the personal actions that we can take is emotional education. And so this problem isn't something that is happy and like, okay, we need to fix this. It's a problem. It's scary. It's killing people, and it's dangerous all over the world what the impacts are going to be. So if you're going to learn how it impacts you, what your future is going to look like, then you're going to be motivated to take part. And that's extremely important. So what I can do is I can help lead. I'm very passionate. I've traveled all the way from Canada to be here. And so I want to share this with others. I want other people to get involved because we're not able to do this alone.
So as a last question, what does success look like in accomplishing the fight against climate change in your communities, countries?
I can start for this one. And that goal is to achieve 1.5 degrees Celsius. But for me and my community, most of our power comes from non-renewable resources. It comes from coal mining. And so if we're trying to transition into more electric vehicles or net zero, the net zero is going to be successful if we're attaining those goals of 1.5 degrees either before 2050 and continuing on. So we need to switch from those non-renewable resources and be able to extract as much energy as possible because we're not using the full potential of those renewable resources.
So success could be a million different things, but I believe that as long as we get those good changes that we keep on talking about implemented in our schools and daily lives, like in our families, schools, and like we actually start putting action towards them, we will, like, that is success for me, honestly. Like, I feel like that shows how we did say something and we did do it. We did do it, so yeah.
First of all, success is hard to define, but I'd like to say that let's just put success as our goal. And my first goal is that for the Philippines to know exactly what climate change is, because just like in Canada, climate change is something that we all know, but we don't do anything about it. And knowledge without action is dead. So what do we get from that, right? And if once the Philippines knows exactly what climate change is, I hope that we can continue the action, because we can do so many actions, we can do so many things about it, but what do we do after doing it? It's either we stop or continue, and I hope that we continue and continue to not just get the goal, but to make more goals from that goal. And I know, sorry, and I know that with that, it's not just the Philippines. I hope that everyone would also progress to a more safer future, one that we can live on, and also the other generations after us.
Yeah, I totally agree with things. I think that this success that we keep mentioning can also be achieved during the process and not only on the arrival of this race, you know. So I believe that one of our biggest challenges here is to keep the constancy of what is being promised and done and said here at COP when we return to our countries. Because it's better to prevent something than having to deal with its negative consequences once it's too late already.
Well said. Well said. Well, thank you very much for having us. You interviewed. It was so inspiring to listen to you all. And I think that Earth has a chance because you are here and because of your voices and all your passion. So just thank them with a big applause. Thanks, Sophia, Vince, Jana, Oliver, and all the decarbonized kids. There you go.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.